This is Cammus direct drive wheelbase, a 15 Nm direct drive built by a Chinese company that you have probably never heard of. So actually a few years ago they created an in-house electric supercar. So yes, that's an actual supercar. But according to their government policies and regulations, they were not able to sell the cars, and they just decided to put all of the investments, all of the technology they used for the supercar, to put it in creating aftermarket car products and electric go-karts, and of course some racing wheels. But in general, they built a 15 Nm direct drive wheelbase and this GT wheel. I mean, thus on paper it appears to be a very strong contender in the direct drive market, considering the price, but the wheelbase itself is a bit large in size and has somewhat barn-shaped look to it. It's almost entirely made out of black anodized aluminum, which doesn't look quite nice, but the branding on the sides kind of appears to be looking pretty nice. So it appears they have T-nuts, which means it could support slide mounting, although it could be in the wrong terms of regular mounting holes underneath that. Finally, the front of the wheelbase contains a distinctive look and quick release, a power button and a few switches, and of course the button that you can tie to pretty much anything in the game. It's similar to having a button box on the wheel, but it's actually on the wheelbase. So this is a concept that is fairly new to me, and this is something that I never really seen that much. But it's a huge wheel rim base that measures around 13 inches in diameter, and it's covered in leather. I couldn't really locate the specifications for the wheel rim. I'm not really sure what the type of material it is, but I can see that it's kind of synthetic leather, but it feels actually really nice. So the wheel is kind of the start of this whole review. Nonetheless, it's very distinctive. I mean, I can say that this wheel absolutely looks it actually looks pretty nice. It has a couple of encoders and a couple of switches. Actually, if you want to say 4 buttons, 2 switches, and 2 rotor encoders. Unfortunately, they don't feel quite premium, especially the buttons. They are slightly outdated in my opinion, and of course this is something that you can kind of see that they are going to improve in the future, and I would really like that the buttons on this wheel are gonna become a little bit better. We do have something positive to say about this. You can find the 2 carbon fiber switches. This is actually a pretty nice add-on to the wheel, which is completely made out of carbon fiber, or at least it feels like it's made out of carbon fiber. They are not quite premium as you would expect, but they do make the job. They actually feel pretty nice compared. I mean, I was comparing that to the other products that I used before, and this actually feels very nice. I mean, although the basic issue that I have with the wheelbase felt dramatically different between games, there is a lot of positive things about this, and a very interesting color palette when it comes to this wheel and of course the wheelbase. I didn't really find it difficult to reach any of the buttons in game, especially when I was moving these buttons. So when you're moving from one side to another, if you're trying to make it ABS +2 or +3, or you're just moving something from one way to another, it doesn't seem to be that hard. Although these buttons in the middle, they actually feel quite difficult to reach. Although you cannot really expect that everyone has the same hands, but in general I always want to give it a bit of a shout out to the shifters. They actually looked pretty nice, and in the end when I was using them, they were quite fantastic to use. I mean, you couldn't really move this product to, let's say, a premium one, like you would spend $1,000 on the wheel. This wheel is only $200, and it really should feel like it. I mean, there is a difference between $200 and of course $1,000. So I didn't really expect much from this wheel. To be honest, I really didn't expect anything out of this wheel, but I actually had a pretty positive experience. I mean, when you're going from the buttons to the shifters, the buttons do need a bit of work, but in general, the shifters, they actually felt amazing. I mean, I've said it, for the price range, this wheel actually is pretty damn nice. And although I never really felt like I was unconfident going around the track, there was a bit of inconsistency moving from, let's say, a rally game into AC into ACC. So there is a bit of a gap, but I wouldn't really call it a huge gap. There is a slight gap going between these games. So on the settings side of this thing, it has pretty unique set of settings. I mean, I tried keeping the settings all the same when I was moving from one game to another, but they do need to be adjusted slightly. Though, so I would say in terms of the software is kind of limited. So there is a little bit more work to be done in fine-tuning and adjustment on the software side, but it's not something that you would consider like it's a huge minus. When I was looking through a couple of these settings, they actually felt and they actually kind of did a good job. But I do want to praise this wheel and this wheelbase because it's really not easy to build a product like this, and especially for this price range, because this wheel, I think in my opinion, has a pretty unique, it has a pretty unique value when you consider that you can get this wheel for $200. It has magnetic shifters, a unique wheel rim, and of course the button module. So if you want to consider buying this product from, let's say, Fanatec, it would pretty much cost you about $500 to $600 US. Of course, this is not exactly the same product. You cannot really expect it to be the same, but in general, making a wheel that looks like this and performs like this is kind of a hard thing to do, and especially if you consider moving it to a direct drive wheelbase that has 15 Newton meters, and just putting it to the strength of the wheelbase, it's a pretty unique value on the market right now. And in general, I really have to say that I would praise this wheel because it's not really easy to build a product like this, especially the wheel that costs $200 and the wheelbase that costs like $500 and it has 15 Newton meters. And on the other hand, if you want to, let's say, move it to some other premium products, it would cost you pretty much twice or 3 times more. And I really need to say that this product is actually still in development, so they're actually developing a new product that is pretty much going to be better than this one. And of course, this really deserves a praise because having another contender on the direct drive market is something to really value. And in the end, I would say, like, really, check this product out. It's not perfect, it's not the premium wheel that you would expect it from, let's say, Fanatec or even Moza, but it's getting there. I think the product and the price are decently valued, and this is something that you should consider when ordering a new direct drive wheelbase. So once again, guys, thank you very much for watching this, and I really hope you enjoyed this review. Bye.